Hey guys, welcome. Thank you for joining. This is the Oracle Autonomous Database Learning Lounge. And today we have a very, very interesting session on a basically brand new component of the Autonomous Database for this year, and that's Data Studio. So today we're going to learn how to load, integrate, and analyze data using basically the Data Studio component. Okay. So for the agenda today, we have Patrick Wheeler. He's Vice President of Product Management. Also, Jayant Mato, he's a Senior Principal Product Manager. And they will introduce us to the Autonomous Database Data Studio. Okay? They'll show us, how it is a built-in application and incorporates all of the different tools, right, that allow you guys to load the data. So loading data with a data load tool, finding and understanding data. So we have the catalog, transformations, right, on that data loading, and basically the analysis, right, analyzing that data. So they're going to show you us also the part that actually have integration with the spreadsheet. So there's an integration that allows you to work with Excel spreadsheets or Google Sheets as well. Okay. Throughout the session, we're going to have an open Q&A, and we have other product managers listening in. So Bud Andres and Ashish Jain, for example, are here, but we have also Autonomous Database product managers as well listening in, right? So for any kind of questions you guys have throughout, we ask you to please make sure to type them in the Q&A. So you have the Q&A in Zoom. You can type their questions there. We're going to make the recording available to you guys before the end of the week in the same link that you guys used to join today, okay? So make sure to interact with us. And thank you for joining Patrick. Thank you for joining Jayant. I'll stop sharing and I'll let you guys share. And thank you very much for presenting that to us today.
Well, thank you, Marcos. It sounds like we've prepared the right level of information then. It's really great to see so many people joining this session. And Marcos, before we get going here, I'd like to thank you for making this all possible. It's great to be able to join this forum. Well, welcome everybody. The Autonomous Data Studio is it's a very important new capability that we've added to Autonomous Database, and we announced some major new capabilities just a couple of weeks ago. So thank you for joining us so promptly. We'll have today we'll spend about 10 minutes with a presentation by me, and then Jayant will take over and give us a demonstration. And this is going to be our agenda. I get 3 topics, but I squeeze them into 10 minutes, and Jayant gets 1 topic. He's got 40 minutes to do it all in. But I'll start by debunking what I think is a false equivalence in the marketplace. And then I think it sounds like it's a very good idea to level set on data mart concepts and basic data mart concepts. What is it we're doing? And how specifically is Autonomous Database differentiated? And then we'll show you how it's differentiated. So let's start with this debunking of a false equivalence. There's a lot of talk in the market about self-service analytics. I think people agree with that idea. They want to be empowered. But then our competitors tend to pivot here and explain to you how you can build your own analytics stack. And I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's the idea. I don't think the idea of self-service analytics is for you to become IT. I think the idea is that so that you can continue to do your job without having to involve IT. And that's a very important differentiation to draw here. So now let's talk about some data mart concepts, and then I'll return to this false equivalence. What's the whole point? The whole point is that what we're trying to do is analyze the data that a business has gathered. And where has it been gathered? It's typically been gathered in a lot of transactional systems. For example, in the manufacturing system, you're going to have some product data. So if you want to do some analysis, you're going to connect to that data and bring it in. But you haven't got the whole picture yet. So perhaps you'd go to the marketing system. Oh, okay, the marketing system's good because now we know about the campaigns for various products. But we still haven't got the full picture, because it's only when we go to the sales system and drag over that data that then we can see the customers. And we can see the orders they've placed for the various products. And in many cases, it's nice to be able to track the campaigns associated with those orders. So now we've got the data we need to be able to do some analysis about the effectiveness of maybe various campaigns, various products, what groups of customers are more likely to buy, etc. We've got the data, but it's not in the right shape. And now comes another step. So the next stage is that we got to reshape this data. So we start on the left-hand side with data in third normal form. That's the way it's typically captured, in documents or whatever it might be in a transactional system. It needs to be transformed into a form that's useful for analytics, and that's typically a star schema. So we might have an order item fact with what we call dimensions for customers and campaigns and time and products. So that's typically the life cycle that data is going to go through before analysis takes place. So now let's get back to that false equivalence, because our competitors would say, okay, well, to do all the stuff we've just been talking about, you've got all these little components you can bring in, and you cobble this thing together all by yourself. In best case, it's a solution that's delivered in kit form. There's a little bit of small print there. Oh, yes. Some assembly required. Yeah, I'd say so. Worst case, it's what I call a Frankenstack. You cobble something together and you've created a little monster that's going to haunt you. And here's a real example of exactly what I'm talking about. And it's pretty realistic if we look at the left and right hand ends of this flow. The raw data is going to be all over the place. It's going to be in Oracle databases or some other database. It's going to be in files. It's going to be in applications. And on the right-hand side, you're going to do some analysis using a tool, possibly Power BI or Tableau or something like that. That stuff is pretty much given. It's that transformational flow in the middle that's tricky. And literally a competitive solution that was proposed and for one of our customers looked like this. You've got to load the data. Well, there's one tool for loading data, store it in the cloud somewhere. Data's not in the right shape, so you use another tool to transform it, put it into a cloud data warehouse, and then you get to your analysis. And of course, the question this all begs is, how on earth are you expected to cobble all these different components together by yourself? And it gets worse than that, because of course there's money involved. You've got to buy this stuff. And you've got to train your people in how to use this stuff. And time is money there as well. And then you've got to deploy it and maintain it. And you've also, don't underestimate this, you've also got to deploy and maintain the interfaces between these various components. So it's pretty bad. But it actually gets worse than this, because there's a very important concept, and that is data lineage. What we mean by this was you present your boss with some analysis. Hey, boss, I found this great insight from my data. Guy's probably going to sit back in his chair and go, okay, what's the lineage of this data? In other words, why do I trust this analysis? Tell me where this data's come from. What have you done to it before you presented me with this so-called insightful analysis? And that's what data lineage is about. Well, this is where the data came from. These were the transformations I did on the way. Okay, good. And then another important related concept is what we call impact analysis. A responsible developer doesn't necessarily want to go in and change a source system willy-nilly without understanding what he might break downstream. So you need clear views of these things. But each of those interfaces that we've just talked about represents a barrier to those things, to data lineage and impact analysis. And that becomes very hard. It means it's harder to trust your analysis, and it's hard to be agile in development unless you're just irresponsibly going to break things downstream. That's not very cool. So there are significant disadvantages to these roll your own analytic solutions. And often selecting the lowest cost components by sticker price is very often a false economy. For one thing, there are interface complexities. How many vendors were in that solution that I just showed you? What's the compatibility matrix between those various components? And indeed the versions of those components. And if something goes wrong in one of those interfaces, Who are you going to call? You don't want to get caught in some sort of blame game between vendors saying, oh, it's those guys or it was those guys. All sorts of problems can go on there. Then, of course, there's the money part of things. You've got to acquire these things, train your people in using them. Then there's the effort to configure and maintain this stuff. And we've just been talking about the opacity and lineage and impact analysis, which is a significant problem down the road, certainly. And this is how the autonomous database is differentiated. Not only is it autonomous from the administration aspect, and that's very, very important. It's very easy with autonomous database to achieve very high availability, very high agility. But building on that theme, we want to build into this, this service capabilities that, that empower an analyst, a developer, a data scientist to do their job, all built in without having to assemble all of these components before they can be effective. So when we look at that complex analytics stack that we've just been talking about, that creates risk and represents hidden costs for the customers, the autonomous database differentiates itself very strongly with this built-in data studio. It's an integrated suite of tools to guide you all the way through the analytic workflow that we've been talking about. There's a tool for data load. There's a tool for data transformation. All of this is built in. There's one for building a common business model, for deriving insights and doing data analysis. And it all is underpinned by an integrated data catalog, which provides clear views of lineage of data and impact analysis. And you'll get an idea of this when I hand over to Jayant, how powerful all this is. I'm just going to skip through these slides. We've got a number of analysts and customers who are already enjoying this stuff. And we're very much encourage you guys to jump in and see it for yourself. But we'll give you a preview in just a minute now. Jayant will show you, I believe, each of these things. The summary here is that we replace all of these problems with a built-in data studio. It's pre-integrated with a consistent interface and a common set of metadata. It's pre-installed, so there's nothing more to buy and nothing more to install. It just comes with your autonomous database service. And it provides clear data lineage and impact analysis. So now it's time for me to stop sharing, hand over to Jayant, who's going to show you how it all works. Over to you, Jayant.
All right. Thank you for the overview, Patrick. Now we are going to see the tool in action. And for today's demo, I am a data analyst in a company which is in movie streaming business, just to keep the demo interesting. Now, for this demo, I'm going to load some data, transform it for the purpose of analysis. And I want to analyze the movie watching behavior of customers. That's what my intent is, right? And I have Data Studio in my autonomous database, all the tools in the Data Studio, and I'm going to make use of them to do my analysis, and you will see how it goes. All right, this is the database actions page of autonomous database. When you deploy autonomous database, you will get a user. Your admin will give you a user. There are a couple of roles which need to be given to you. DW role enables Data Studio. And in Data Studio, there is a data transform tool as well, which is enabled by data transform user role. So you will ask your admin to give you these roles, and you will have access to these tools. And when you create a database, there is a button there on OCI console itself when database gets provisioned to jump to this page. All right, so now let me go to Data Studio overview. Now you are seeing the different tools which are available to me, and I'll be making use of these tools. Data load is for data load, of course. Data analysis and insights are for analyzing the data. And I have a catalog as well, where I will see all my objects which are available to me. And I'll go through them. And of course, I have a data transform as well, where I will be transforming that. That's a little separate. This is here in the database actions. The reason why it is separate, because it gives you a little more power to the users. Data integration generally involves accessing data from variety of different sources. So it's a little more powerful user, and that's why it requires a different role as well. All right, so now let's start with looking at what objects do I have. As I said in the beginning, my task is to analyze the customer behavior for watching movies. I'm a data analyst in a movie streaming business company. Now I'm seeing all the objects which are there in my database for last 30 days. These are recent objects. Their access are modified in last 30 days. To get more details, I'll go to the catalog. And in catalog, I will be able to see all the objects which I have, and I can query them in different ways. I have a preset queries on the right side. So let me just look at the tables of views owned by me. All right, so I'm seeing all that, and I can have a different views. This is a card view. I can switch to grid view, where I see different properties of the different objects. I have a list view where each object I have more details. I'll be able to see who owns it, when it was created, updated, and so on and so forth. All right, so I can have this view in a different format. Now the query is actually quite powerful. I can write any kind of queries to find objects which I need. So for my purposes, let's say I'm looking for sales data. So I just typed sales, and I can see the couple of tables which have sales data. And if I look at that, looks like it's a movie sales data. If I click on it, this data, by the way, is already loaded for the demo purposes, but I'll show you in a short while how the data can be loaded. All right, so I'm looking at this data. This is data preview. I can see a quick profile of the data, the stats which are collected by database, and I can see different movie genres, watched on different devices, etc. I can have a quick view. I need a customer attributes as well. So let me look at customers. And I have customer data available here. So here also I can do the preview, and let me look at the stats just to see what attributes are available to me. You can see that there's an age, there's some education level, marital status, gender, etc. Right. So I'm going to make use of these attributes for doing the analysis for my data. And if some attributes are not available or need to be transformed in a certain way, or if it needs to be joined with some other tables, I will be able to do that in using a transforms tool. All right, so this is the way you use the catalog by querying it in a different way to look at the objects you want, do the data preview, etc. You can also do the lineage here. Let me do the data load first to show you, and then I'll show you how the lineage works. Now, this, as I said, this data is already loaded, but I'll show you the load process if you have a new data to load, or if you are loading the data in the beginning itself. Now, in the data load, you can see that I can either load the data from my various sources where my data is. It could be in my local file, in my laptop, I can drag and drop. Could be in some other database, or could be in cloud store. For this demo, I'll show you from the cloud store. And not always you have to load the data. You can simply link the data as well. Sometimes you just want to create external tables and not physically load the data. You can do that with the link data. Sometimes you can create a continuous feed to your autonomous database tables using feed data. Here, the way it works is in object store, you have some files, and the moment you drop a file, the notification, the load process gets started, and autonomous database table gets loaded. And it's anytime you drop the table, it gets loaded. That's the feed data mechanism. For my demo today, I'm going to use the simple load data from a cloud store. So I choose load data and cloud store, and I say next. Now here I can see that the tables, the files which are available on my object store, and they could be of different format, and you can see the different formats available are CSV, text, Parquet, JSON. They can be different formats, right? I have some tables in different formats. I have activity in JSON format. I have others in CSV format, and some tables like transaction tables like sales, they can be multiple files as well. So you can just load them into a single table. Now, just to pick something which can be loaded fast for the demo purposes, let me show you how it works. I simply drag into this canvas and now it's a JSON file. And if I go back to my activity, and here I can see the preview. It read the JSON format and created all these columns. Is going to load into a table called activity table. And if I do the preview of the data, you can see that this was the content of the file. And in the load preview, you can see that how the JSON is formatted, parsed, and put into different columns. Now I can go ahead and click the start. The load process will start and is going to load the data into this activity table. So it's as simple as that. You simply drag and drop from your object store or even from your laptop and simply run the load process. Now, when this gets loaded, it should get loaded like, within a minute. And then I will be able to find out the lineage of this table, that where this data came from, because sometimes when the data is loaded and you want to see when the data was loaded, you will have some information on that. All right, so it is loading it right now, and I can go back to my catalog. Yeah, it's loaded. I can go back to catalog and I can look for this table which got loaded. I can either search for it like this, or if I look at it'll appear on the top in my recent tables as well. Now, if this table is loaded, I can again do the data preview here. You can see that. And now if I do the lineage of this table, and you can see that this JSON file got loaded through these job processes. You can see that is going to this table, right? So this lineage is actually, and it could be quite complicated if you have loaded this multiple times or from different sources, they will all appear here. And this is a very, very useful information. All right, so now we went through, let me go to the overview. We went through the basics of data load, how I can load the data which I need for my analysis, and how to find the data and look for the attributes and all in catalog. Now, once the data is loaded, before I even jump to the data analysis, I may have to go and transform the data. And the reason why I need to transform the data, because sometimes data comes as in transaction tables, which are at the different grain. Then my analysis, my final analysis, sometimes I might have to join, sometimes I might have to clean some data. Right. So like, for example, here, if I look for let me go back to my catalog and look for my movie sales. And here, movie sales. And if I look for my stats, here I'm looking for my device, if you can see that. Now you can see that this is all lowercase iPhone, the iPad, and it's possible that when I'm trying to join this with some other table, this may not be the correct format, and etc. So I might have to do something to it in order to so that it joins correctly, or I can do the analysis correctly. That's one simple example of doing a transformations, and of course you can do the joins, etc. So now let me jump to the my transform tool, which is actually quite powerful tool. And if you guys are familiar with the any data integration tool, then it is basically it has all the capabilities of that. And just keep in mind that if you are loading this transform tool for the first time, it's going to take some time before it creates the process. So now, since I have this transform tool, I can do, again, load data from a lot of other sources, not only from object store and some databases, but a lot of applications, etc. And I'll show you. And I can do a lot of transformations. So before I go to transformations, let me simply show you how I can load data from lots of other sources. And if I click on the load data, I'll get a simple widget saying I want to give it a name. And you can keep the objects, load objects, the transform objects in some projects. I'm keeping them in some project which I've created called Movie Stream Demo. Right. We have option to use Golden Gate also for loading. This is the advanced option. It's not part of this demo, but if you have a Golden Gate service in running on OCI, you can control that using this and load your autonomous database as well. Right. For now, I'm going to simply use load options here from different sources. Now here you can see that I have to provide what connection I'm going to use to get the data from. Right now here, if I don't have, I have some Oracle database connections, but if I don't have it, I can go ahead and create a connection to different data sources. And you can see that here the data sources are numerous, not only to Oracle, but you have lots of other data sources as well. You can you can see that in applications, we have lots of applications you can connect to. You can connect to Fusion applications, Oracle EBS applications, and not only Oracle, you can create, connect to different applications. I just did a simple search for Google. You can see that Google Analytics and all you can connect to, and all this. Connectors are available to you with no extra charge, and that makes this transform tool and data studio quite powerful. For our demo, I simply I have a simple connections to Oracle sources. So let me pick an Oracle source, but in practice it could be loading data from DB2 SQL Server, or maybe some applications as well. All right, so here I have a remote database. I'm going to load data from that database, and I'm going to specify which connections. So from this schema in this remote database connection to my my autonomous database. Actually, I can load to any database as well, but here I'm loading to my autonomous database and to a certain schema. All right, now. Let me save that. And now it's going to read the schema of the source, and it's going to show me all the tables which are there in the source, tables and views, and I'm going to pick and choose. And I'm basically, after picking and choosing, I'm going to say how do I want the data to be loaded. I can do a simple truncate and load, or I can recreate the table if sometimes you do that when your schema had changed, or I can do incremental merge as well. Incremental merge is based on some date columns, and I can do that as well, right? So in my case, let's see, I'm going to filter some tables, and I'm going to say I want to load city and some customers and orders, let's say. And just to keep it simple, I'm going to simply recreate those tables in the target, right? It's as simple as that. And I'm going to save this, and this load process, I'm going to kick it off right away, like I'm doing right now, or I could schedule that as well. Transforms comes with advanced scheduler, where I can schedule it to be to load it every week, every hour, or at any frequency. All right, so I have started this load process right now, and it's running right now. And whenever any process is running, you can go to the jobs and you can see what's going on. And in this case, it's still running. So you will see the status of that, and you can get more details. All right. So this job is running. I'll let it run in the background. Let me show you the more powerful feature of a transform, which is transforming the data. Loading data is very simple. Like I said, you have some source, you have a bunch of tables, you simply choose what you want and how you want to be loaded. Now, in the transform data, you are going to change the shape of the data for your purposes, right? And for our purposes, we are going to create some analysis table where we are going to load by transformations, and after that, so that we can do the analysis. Now, let me go to the transform data wizard. And here I'm going to, let's say, I can say analyze movie sales. And I just gave it a name, we give a description, etc. Again, I'm going to keep all the objects in the same flow, right? And all my data is in my autonomous database, which is fine. If not, it could come from other sources as well. And I'm going to get this canvas where I'm going to basically lay out how I want to transform my data. All right. So now here, let me add a schema to my autonomous database. All right, so all right, and now I can simply, these are the tables which I have, which you saw that in the catalog, and I can simply drag and drop whatever I want into the canvas and start doing my transformations. So this is my transaction tables, movie sales, which we had seen. And here I can do a data preview as well. You can see that I can look at the data, same data which I had seen earlier, and profiles of the table. I can do that here as well, right? It's very simple. You can see that. Now I have this table available here, and I can drag a bunch of tables I want. In this case, I want some customer attributes table to do the analysis. And I have all these transformations widgets available on the top. I can do aggregation, expression, freeform expression, filtering, joins, distincts, lookups, some advanced transformations like table functions, subquery filters, etc. And I have these other buckets as well. In the data preparation, I have some data cleansing, substitutions, some statistical ones are also, like, quantile binning, lead lag, etc. Is some machine learning algorithms, textual regular expression substitution, etc. Spatial transformations like geocoding, etc. So you can see that the transforms which are available to be used in this transform flow are quite extensive, and they are on par with any data integration tool which you can use outside Autonomous Database. But in this case, they are available as part of Autonomous Database itself. And so I can simply join this. I can get this and join these tables. I want to get this movie genre. So you can see I can simply doing a drag and drop and simply joining it. The join condition gets built automatically. You can see that by analyzing the column names. And now I have this tables joined. I can simply drag the output table here, and I can simply map to that. I also can create a new table if I want to, but in this case, I already have created this analysis table, and I'm loading into that. All right. And while I'm loading it, I can have various options of loading a table. I can do a drop and create table. In this case, yes, let me do that. Or if the table already exists, you can simply truncate the table, etc. You have those options as well. You can also load it incrementally if you have the primary keys, etc. In my case, I'm simply truncating and appending it to the table. All right. It's as simple as that. I can simply save it, and I can again start it right away, or I can schedule it in my scheduler. So let me just start this thing right away. All right, and it will start running again in the background, and give me status of the details of the jobs. So it's running right now. You can see that it's running. And again, for the job, like if I go back here to my jobs, it's loading those tables, and it tells you, like, what durations, what rows counts, etc. And it should load so it took 8 seconds to load around close to 1 million records. All right. And you can get more details. If you're an advanced user, you can click on any task, and you can see what's SQL got executed. So you can appreciate that this is a no-code environment. You didn't have to write this SQL. You simply created the flow using a drag and drop mechanism, and the SQL got generated and got pushed to the database. And in this case, all the tables are in the my Autonomous Database itself, but they could come from other places as well. And I'll show you an example of that. But before that, let me show you one more thing. Actually, this entity is not a table. You can see that there's a select statement. So you can use actually select statements as a source as well, and it makes it quite powerful. Now, let me show you an example where a little more complicated transforms. I already have created one, and let me show you how it looks. It's the same transform which I did just now, but I have added another table device which is coming from a remote database. And I'm doing some data cleansing to both the flows so that I can join them. And you can see that it gets transferred from some other data because it's in remote database. It is getting transferred to Autonomous Database through this transfer mechanism and then joined. So you don't have to have all the tables in your database itself. Like, you can come from the other places, and a transform tool will be able to transfer it into your database before doing the processing. right? And for data cleansing, actually, let me show you what's happening here. The device column is basically I'm stripping the white spaces that's converting to all uppercase, and I'm doing the same thing to the column here so that they can be joined, right? And very simply, now this table, customer sales analysis table, is ready for my analysis, right? Now, I also, once I have this different data flows, I can put them in a workflow. I have some examples of that. So let me show you in a different project. I have an example of workflows where I have a workflow for nightly load. In this case, I have this different data flows like this for loading customer promotions, like loading the sales analysis in the workflow. Also, I can run some SQL procedures. Like for example, here I'm loading actually data from some object store, and it's a PL SQL code. So although it's a no-code environment, but we give you a flexibility to use some code which you might have. And here I have some success and failure paths as well. You can see that any times any one of these data flows or SQL fails, I can run some audit statements. And here, this is again a SQL, or it could be anything else. And here you can see that I'm just inserting one audit row table in audit table. Right? It's as simple as that. And I can go ahead and execute it from here, or I can go ahead and schedule that. So it's a very simple scheduler. I can go to the schedule. I can create a schedule called, let's say, nightly load. Nightly load schedule. I can pick what I want to execute. So I want a workflow, and I can say nightly load workflow, and I can say run it every Monday at 9:44 a.m., which is fine. All right. So I have created a schedule, and every night it's going to run at a specific time. All right. So this is the overview of transform tool. Just to recap, you can simply load data from variety of sources. Actually, total number of sources, source types are actually hundreds, and you can transform them and load into in any table which is your desired form. Now, let me go back to my Data Studio. So here we went through data load for loading from object store, etc., seeing those objects in the catalog, and doing some advanced transformations and advanced loading from other sources. Now let's look at the data analysis. All right. Now, remember my original purpose of doing this exercise was to be able to analyze my movie sales data through customer demographics. Now, for that, I can simply, if I have some analysis models created already, they're called Analytic Views. I can use that, or I can go ahead and create a new one. So let me show you, it's a very easy process to create a new model for my analysis. I can simply choose a data source, the table which I loaded. I'm choosing the data source, and I can give it a name. And here I can basically choose hierarchies on which I want to do analysis, and it's reading the table and giving me all the columns. Let me age group is one of the hierarchy, and I'm going to pick some customer values, form factor, gender. I'm just picking up the column attributes which I'm going to use for doing my analysis. Marital status. All right. And let me. I think there's a pet ownership as well, just to make things interesting. All right. Now I have got all these columns attributes picked up as dimension hierarchies. I can go ahead and pick a measure, and it's actually sales. So how much customers are buying. Based on that, I'm going to do some analysis. It's as simple as that. All right. Now, so basically what I did, I created a model for my analysis on the table, which I loaded using my transforms. All right. Now it's loaded. Now I can go back and do the analysis, right? So I can click on the model, and I can see the same hierarchies here. And I can drag and drop what I want to analyze on, measures by rows and columns. And here you can see that I can look at them into a cross-type table, in the tabular view, or in a bar chart. Right? And this report, which I'm looking at, like it can be exported into your other tools as well. If you are using OAC, Oracle analysis tools, or maybe external tools like Tableau and all, you can do that as well. But in Autonomous Database itself, we provide tools to do the certain analysis. Now here I'm doing analysis on total sales by age groups, and you can see that I can see that millennials are watching a lot of movies, at least the movies which we give to our customers. It's a very simple analysis. I can do the same analysis by gender. So let's say, like, I drag this gender here and get rid of my earlier x-axis value, and I can see that, like, that males are watching more movies than females. Very simple. Let's make it more interesting. Let me see what movie genres are popular. So let me bring in a genre, and now you can see a lot more genres here. You can see that drama is being watched more. Second is actions. All right. Now I can do some analysis, make it more complicated. Now I'm going to use customer value. This customer value is the customers which we think is a high value customers or low value customers. Let me bring that into my analysis. Let me make this thing bigger and make the customer value on top. All right. So what I'm looking at is customer values 1 to 5. Okay, let me expand this so that we can see all the customer values. Here you can see customer value 1, customer value 2, 5 is my highest value. And the way I measure my customer value is whether they give me most business. So this customer value 5 is my most valuable customers. And if you look at what genre they are watching, this is the tallest, drama. They're watching the most drama. All right. The actions and adventure are actually lower than the drama. But if you look at my lower value customers, like, customer value 1, here, if you see that the tallest one is actions. And actually in the customer value 2 also, the tallest one is actions. So it tells me that the high customer value customers, like 5, they're watching much more drama versus, like, the lower value customers who are watching more actions. So this is analysis.
Giant,
yes.
And we have a very interesting question here. Someone was asking whether this is based on an Oracle Analytics Cloud, but this is actually integrated, right, inside Data Studio, right?
Yes, this is totally integrated inside Autonomous Database Data Studio in this set of tools. You can take this data, the data which has been transformed, and use it in other analysis tools as well. Like, for example, OAC, the example which you gave. But the analysis which you are seeing right now is available right away without even purchasing anything other than Autonomous Database. All right, very good question. All right, so now I can, like, keep looking at this data into by variety of combinations, slicing and dicing and things like that, right? But this is still a manual analysis. Also, the Autonomous Database Data Studio also has a tool called Data Insights, and in the Data Insights, let me go there. And you will see that in the insights, we can take your business model and we can basically run some analysis tool in the background and give you interesting insights. This is like, it's like automated analysis, and this is very, very interesting. Like, for example, like, let me pick some one example here. Like, for example, let me pick the marital versus customer values. Now here you can see that there is a way to read this. It basically shows that married people across different customer value, like high value customers or low value customers, this is how much they have been, like, watching movies. This is a bar chart, but the green horizontal bar essentially represents what could have been average across different marital status, like marital status and singles. So here you can see that where the anomaly, and those anomalies are highlighted with a black border. So you can see that, like, this is where the difference between the horizontal bar and the actual value is quite a bit. So it basically means that in the customer value 4, the married people are watching way less movies than average. In the average, of course, the singles are there. So maybe singles are watching a lot more movies than average. And this insight we got without doing anything, any extra work. Like we just created a business model and we let the process run in the background, and it gave me this analysis. Now here, like there's some interesting stuff which I saw. Let's say like this dog ownership, okay, across customer value. Now here you can see that again, the highlighted ones are here in the high value customers, and you can see the high value customers who are dog owners are watching a lot more movies. I mean, this could be a simple correlation. There's no direct thing why they should be watching this, but this gives me an opportunity, business opportunity. Maybe like these high value customers, like they have more disposable income, and I can send them flyers for some dog products or something like that. I can make use of this analysis. So now just a recap, the data analysis can be done manually, which I showed you by dragging and dropping different dimensions, different hierarchies across different measures, or you can you can run some automated analysis and find this different deviations with something interesting patterns in the data which you have loaded. All right. So this, let me go back to my Data Studio page. So we went through the different tools and Data Studio overview. We went through catalog. We went through how to load data in a simple way, transform the data, which could be quite powerful, which is a very powerful tool for transforming into any shape. Data you want. And once you have done that, you can do the analysis, which is a manual analysis, and do the insights. And now, one thing which I didn't show you, short of time, is the data analysis which you did. Let me go back again and kind of show you. This data analysis which you are seeing, you can export into different tools as well. And one of the tools is actually Excel. We have Excel plugin available where I can export this to the Excel using or Google Sheets, and I can do the analysis there in a very simple way. So today I couldn't show you, and other way around also. If you have Excel data which you want to load, then by data simply using data load tool, you can load them as well. So we have that integration as well. Now that's the end of my demo, and we are towards the end of our hour as well. Now I can take some questions if they are there, or any discussion you guys want.
Excellent. Thank you very much, John. That was great. There are a lot of questions coming still, so we'll leave them open. And then in the meantime, and again, thank you for answering the poll. For now, I just wanted to make sure that you guys had the opportunity. I'm gonna share this information with you guys. But I'm gonna share this.
Marcos,
Yes,
I want to say one quick thing which I forgot. To experience this thing yourself, we have a live labs. If you go to Oracle Live Labs, there is a tutorial for Data Studio and gives you data sets for you to play with, and it's a very good 1 hour tutorial, and you'll be able to get hands-on experience in your tenancy using the tools. So please go ahead and try that.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you very much. Yeah, so guys, number 3 or number 4 here on this screen is going to take you to a place where you can actually see the tool in action, and you can have access to the workshop that Giant was mentioning. So where you guys can do it yourselves, run it for free, test it out, and do all of the steps that he was doing. So that's important. But I'll make sure to give you guys these couple of slides when you guys come back for the slides and the recording. And also other things like, keep up with the announcements that we have. LinkedIn, we have a new group there with the Autonomous Database newsletter. And we have, Twitter and the Stack Overflow as well. So in Stack Overflow, we are always there as well, looking for your questions, okay? All right, so final thoughts. Basically, we have a lot of links. Again, I'm going to share these links with you guys. When you come back for the recording or the slides, you're going to see them there, okay? On the right-hand side, you see the same place that you guys came in today. There's going to be a next session, and then there's going to be an all sessions down there with the recording. So you're going to be able to go back in and get that. Okay. We still have a few questions open, so I'm not going to, end the call. I'm going to leave that. And I appreciate if you, Giant and Patrick, thank you very much. If you guys can help the folks there with the questions. And then basically that's it. I would like to thank you guys for coming today. And tomorrow we're going to have the same session just for the European time. And in 15 days, so 2 weeks from now, we're going to have a session on data sharing. Okay, that's the new feature as well, data sharing for autonomous database. Okay. All right, so I'll leave the Q&A open. I'll leave the call open until we answer the questions that are still hanging there. And in the meantime, I just wanted to thank you. Thank you again, Patrick. Thank you, Giant, for your presentations. It was great. Thank you for the session. And I'll see you guys in tomorrow, right? I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you very much again, guys. Really appreciate it. And talk to you guys later.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.